I was reading in Romans 4. And the interesting thing about it is that there was a real glowing report from God about Abraham. And just like there is just about any other character in the scriptures, God tells us their story, tells us their failings, but then he also presents, like David was a man after God's own heart. Look at his failings. They were a little bit more on the moral side. But Abraham is a man of faith. But like I shared in the previous devotional, Abraham's level of faith was about 66%. But God speaks glowingly of that. So it leads me to think this one thing. We have a hard time because we look in the mirror and we see imperfection. We have a hard time because we only see the bad things in us. But God doesn't see that. God looks at us and he goes, I like you, dude. Yo. He cares for us. Why? Not because we're perfect, but because we're imperfect. And he knows that. He created us that way. Why did he create us imperfectly? Well, if he created us perfect, we wouldn't have any need for God. So all of that to say, when God shows his perfection through our imperfection, then it's God who's doing what he's doing. So David, Abraham, Elijah. Oh, this reminds me, the other day I was thinking about Elijah. He was in the town of Dothan, and he was surrounded by enemy chariots and horses. And his servant's like, he was really uptight. What are we going to do? We're locked in town. And Elijah says, oh, God, open up his eyes so he can see what we got for us. And the eyes of the servant were open, and he saw they were surrounded by carnal fleet of horses and horsemen and chariots, but they were surrounded by a whole host. The hills were covered with flaming chariots and horses. Better than, bigger than. And I found myself, after I read that, I was like, God, why cannot we have a relationship, one such that we can see into the spirit world and say, this is what God's doing? I'm not satisfied with my Christianity until I reach a higher level of belief, because I want more from God. He had a glowing report from men who were imperfect. I'm imperfect, but I want a glowing report on the desk of God on behalf of Jesus, who's saying, did you see that dude? Man, he done something good. All because of the blood of Jesus. Wow, I'm blown away. Be wise.